Today we've got a little bit of everything coming your way. We've got a cup game, we've got new signings, we've got a pretty big blunder from me. No, I didn't resign. But yeah, let's just get into it. So we're actually starting this episode off with an amazing bit of news. The board have finally accepted my requests to upgrade the training facilities. It's going to cost 95,000, which is obviously not ideal. But with that last match tipping us up to over, I think, 195,000 or so, spending that much money to increase, what we can get out of our players, and meaning more players will be willing to come to us seems like an absolute bargain to me. So I'm very happy about that. And we're also going to actually be welcoming a new signing to the club. Aaron Lewis is going to be joining us, a Welsh fullback. He can play left back or right back. And he is pretty good, I think. Like he's not outstanding in some of the stats that you'd like him to be. But I think overall he is very good. He maybe hasn't quite got the physicals that you'd like, but everything else is more than good enough. The main reason I'm looking to bring him in is, first of all, we don't have a permanent right back at the club. We've been relying on loans currently because we've still got Tanadre and Pritchard with us. But also, Leo Hamblin's been kicking off a lot lately and asking for a transfer, so I'm thinking he might end up needing to play left back quite a bit. And if I do compare him to Leo Hamblin, I mean, Hamblin's got him beaten on aerial ability, but apart from that, it's either very close or comfortably in Aaron Lewis's favour. If you look at the attribute comparison, it's very one-sided. I mean, even physicals, which is definitely Aaron Lewis's weak point, he's not that far behind. Stamina and jumping reach are comfortably towards Leo Hamblin's side, but everything else, Aaron Lewis does just about edge it. So yeah, I think he's going to be a good addition to the squad. We have actually got one other transfer that I'm working on, but let me just accept this one first. Aaron Lewis, welcome to the club. So yeah, the other transfer we've been looking at is Osman Foyo, who I think is a very good defensive midfielder. I mean, he has got amazing physicals, completely countering the last guy we were looking at. But he's pretty good as a defensive mid, not bad tackling, not bad marking, decent long shots, which could be interesting. 12 passing, 12 vision. He's got quite a few stats that you'd quite desire there. Very good strength. He's only 5 foot, so not ideal. He's a bit of a, N'Golo Kante kind of player, I suppose. Little man absolutely bossing the midfield. But if I compare him to someone like Marley Turnbull, who's currently a defensive mid or midfield option, he does pretty much edge it. And I do think he could play, a pretty good part of the season. Oh, and he is Sierra Leonean. Is that the correct term? Sierra Leonean? He's from Sierra Leone, I suppose. Oh, actually, yep, Sierra Leonean. Oh, I'm so good at this. 31 caps for them, but he has got English nationality, so he's not going to need a work permit. He's recently been released by Hull, didn't actually play for them, but Hartlepool United in the Vanarama National League, he had a relatively good season, played in League 1 the year before that with Sutton United, didn't quite cut it there, but I think he could be a reasonable option for us. I know we are sort of getting a little bit overloaded on centre midfielders, but I can't control myself. And just to add on to that, I mean, I was just comparing him to some of our other midfield options. Look at him compared to Morehouse. I mean, Morehouse is obviously more attacking based and he is slightly better at attacking. But just everything else, he's so well-rounded. He can play pretty much anywhere in the midfield. And, attribute comparison, yeah, it's very one-sided there. But yeah, enough about this guy. We'll wait till he actually confirms he wants to join us before we, hype him up too much. I don't want to let it go to his head. And also, Aaron Lewis obviously confirmed as a signing there. Let me just get him in as a fullback on support training. That does mean that, finally, after all this time, Joe Maguire is going to be going. He's been with us for a long time and has he played over the last 2 or 3 seasons? I think he's had a couple of games, yeah. 12 games last season without a contract. So we were just paying him an appearance fee. He didn't really impress in those, and I don't really want him. He was more just, the backup option when we didn't have Hamblin. So, yep, let him go. You've served us well, Joe. You've come from the Northern Premier League Division 1 Midlands all the way up to the National League with us. I'm not sure how much of an impact your performances particularly have had. You did quite a lot in the Southern Premier League Central. But yeah, thank you for your service and off you pop. I was just actually looking at the data hub at the formations that we've used. I didn't quite realise just how effective this 4-1-3-2 formation we were playing is. We're creating a chance every 85 minutes compared to opponents creating a chance every 314 minutes. So we are so strong in that formation. And obviously the data set is much smaller because we've only used that for 943 minutes compared to 3,580. We've used the 4-3-3. But I do think that is worth considering. I tend to revert to this when we're playing against the bigger teams. It's just surprised me just how much more effective it was. And just to look over the other two, when we played a 4-2-3-1, No one created a chance for us, and we had one every 8 minutes, but we only used it for half an hour, so that's not really that impactful. And at asymmetric formation, we create one every 23, receive one every 93. So that's also very good, but again, we've only played that for just over a game worth of time so far. Just a few little stats for you there. And there we go. Osmond Foyo has also agreed to join the club. £250 a week obviously isn't super cheap, but I think he's going to be a very good addition to the squad. So welcome to the team, my man. And the yearly bout of disappointment has arrived into the inbox. An incredibly poor intake for the club. Absolutely fantastic. But anyway, let's get all caught up and get on with the recap. Since the Bromley game in the last episode, we have played 4 matches and we've gone unbeaten. But I will say that's not without, lack of trying to lose from our defence. But yeah, things started off pretty well against Altrincham. We managed to go behind quite early on, pull it back and then throw it all away at the end, as is quite often our MO, quite frankly. It all started off with a Hall free kick, nice little set-piece routine, and Doherty managed to put it in at the back post before a Callum Archer-esque free kick from Bobby Dunn slides in at the near post. Then a Mitchell throw-in ends up getting crossed into the box, and Wielden gets on the end of it to header it in the bottom corner. But then just 4 minutes later, Watson's penalty managed to secure Altrincham a point. A little bit disappointing, but I think overall it was probably a fair reflection of the game. We probably just about edged it as the better side overall, but they had a few very good chances and they took them. Can't really complain too much. In the next game we came up against Chorley. It was a 2-2 draw again. This one I was absolutely losing my mind after the first few goals, I admit. This was right after I recorded that clip where I was like, oh, we seem to be doing really well with this formation. Let's try that a bit more. And not long into the first half, I was deeply regretting that decision, quite frankly. Chorley obviously came up with us last season, and they've been absolutely killing it. Evident from this nice long ball there. Pennant gets on the end of it and absolutely rockets it into the top corner. I cannot argue with that finish at all. Keeper couldn't really have done anything. And then there was a relatively similar finish here after Porter puts the ball over to Holder, takes it on the chest, rockets it in the bottom corner. Just some very clinical finishing from Chorley. And the ball coming around the outside, Pritchard gets a cross in and Wielden managed to head it just inside the post. Beautiful little finish to put us in 2-1 at half time. And then at the start of the second half, Boyang releases Wielden, runs forward. I thought he was going to take a shot, but he managed to get a pass off to Clark, who rockets it in the bottom corner to make it 2-2, and that's how it finished. So great little comeback from us, but I would have really liked for us to not be in that position in the first place. They had a lot more chances after we scored, and by all means definitely should have got back in front, but I'm obviously delighted that they didn't. Now the next game, let me tell you, 4-2 victory against Yeovil Town, but my God, is this one of the most undeserved wins I've ever seen. There wasn't a goal until the 69th minute when Yeovil went 1-0 up. A Barnes free kick managed to find Williams at the back post and he popped it in the top corner. But then 4 minutes later, Dunn running down the wing, managed to get a cross in, falls to Pritchard, shot gets blocked, it falls to Foyo and he puts it in the open net on his debut. Absolutely fantastic performance from the little midfielder. But then in the 80th minute, Williams gets another cross in. It falls to Scrimshaw, who pops it in. And at that point, as we all would, I thought the game was lost. 2-1 down in the 80th minute, just soul destroying. But then in the 90th minute, Williams managed to get the ball back to Boyang, plays a nice little 1-2 with him, runs on the end of it, and makes a very nice, tight angle finish into the bottom corner. Then just 30 seconds later, this highlight starting, Williams again manages to break through the defence, gets a nice little cross into Clark, who puts it in the bottom left. And then in the 94th minute, just 3 minutes later, Lewis gets the ball to the back post and Clements manages to header it in. Absolutely brilliant comeback. Both of our debutants in Foyo and Lewis getting involved. Obviously one with a goal, one with an assist. But yeah, this was, you can see it from the XG. We managed to score 4 goals and we had an XG of 0.8. It was absolutely ridiculous. A little smash and grab there. They don't seem to happen very often in Football Manager, at least not in my favourite, it feels like. So I am not going to complain at all. Fantastic performance. And then in the final game of the recap, we managed to beat Gateshead 2-0. After his performance in the previous game, I decided to start Williams up front this match, give him a go with Wielden. He hasn't really been playing much on the wing because despite being our highest paid player, he just hasn't really been performing on the wing as I'd have liked him to, so I've been more using him as a substitute option. But again, he came up clutch in this match. Started in the 14th minute with a Woodyard free kick. Managed to fall to Gofford, who managed a looping header into the top corner. A rare start from him and a brilliant goal. Before a little bit of defensive mix-up, Tanadre gets the ball to Williams and he pops it over the top. Wielden manages to score past the keeper to secure the victory. 2-0, and to be honest, absolutely nothing to complain about. We were very good. So we've obviously got today's match against Boreham Wood coming up, but before we get to that, let's have a look at where we are on the table. And things are going pretty well. I mean, things didn't look like they were going brilliantly until those last two games, because we were 6 points behind the playoffs before those two victories, and somehow, I don't know, I think it was Chorley that we were behind, who have actually not been doing terribly. Yeah, they haven't had a fantastic record. They've drawn, won, drawn and lost. How are Barnet doing? Because they must be doing pretty badly. Yeah, 3 losses on a bounce have allowed us to catch up quite nicely. So that's obviously very good news for us. It does mean we're even on points with the playoff spots. We've got a slightly worse goal difference, just a +8 instead of a +12. And actually, if I look at the league stats, Ashley Clark is still the top scorer in the league, although, you know, joint, but still, he hasn't really scored as much as I'd have liked him to in the last few games, but he's still been a relatively important part of the team. We are doing pretty well. We're still within contention. I think if we can get into the playoffs for the end of the season, that would be an amazing result for us, considering I think we're still expected to come pretty low. Yeah, 14th, which has gone up considerably when you take into account our signings, because I think we were 22nd, 23rd at the start of the season. But yeah, quite frankly, a top half finish would be amazing. So if we manage to finish in the playoffs, that would be obviously best case scenario. I don't think there's any real chance of us winning the league this season. We might have to go up, you know, the peasants' route via the playoffs, unlike the miracles we've achieved in the past 5 seasons. That's just an insane record. But yeah, anyway, let's get on with today's game. So I think this is how we're going to be lining up for the game. We've got Wright in goal, Clements, Jackson, Mitchell and Lewis along the back. We've got Foyer and Bojang in centre mid, Lawton out on the right, Birch on the left, Williams and Clark up front. I've decided to go back to our sort of asymmetrical 4-4-2 formation, just because Boreham would have been having a pretty torrid time of it lately, and it does give us a bit more, you know, oomph going forward, I feel like. But I haven't actually got any wingers on my bench. Bobby Dunn and Callum Archer are both there. It's centre mid cover, but that also means that if need be, obviously I can quite comfortably switch to my 4-1-3-2. But yeah, if I look at Boreham Wood's form, they haven't actually won in 9 games, is that? Yeah, 4 and 5, yeah, 9 games. And even that win against Barnet came after, you know, 5 more non-wins, let's say. They managed to get knocked out of the FA Cup by Eastleigh, who are in the league below us, and aren't exactly flying down there. So I feel like this should be a relatively comfortable match, but I can't guarantee anything, obviously. That is a really cool sponsor for them. Boreham Wood, the Wood Army sponsor. I've never noticed that before. Oh, I am absolutely fuming. I've just recorded this full game and it's not actually recorded. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know how that's happened. I'll get to the end of the match and then we'll go back and recap the goals, I guess. This has been a very dominant performance, but they've actually just been coming back into it in the last 15 minutes or so. I just glanced over to my OBS and saw that it wasn't actually currently recording. I don't know when that stops. I don't know if it's maybe recorded some of the game. You will probably know that more than I will at this point. Okay, we've got a Clements throw in. Bojan Clements puts the ball in. It falls to Yeboah and Clark managed to finish it off. Is that onside? It is indeed. That has pretty much killed off their comeback. So, you know, at least you came back for that. Oh, God, I apologise. We will do another game. Oh, man. I was so happy with this performance. We've been so dominant, and it's all going to come to nothing. Fantastic. So, yeah, 89th minute now. Jackson picks up the ball at the back, clears it straight into their striker, who bursts forward. He's got to score that. He doesn't. He puts it wide. That's a big let-off for us, but I don't think it would have really changed the outcome too much. And there you go, we win. Yeah, this is a little bit awkward. Let's just quickly do a team talk, and I suppose we'll go back and recap the game that I just, you know, commentated in full. Yeah, just a very annoying little situation there, but a very good win for us. Steve Lawton's managed to injure himself, and fans want us to sign Clark permanently. I don't think we'd be able to do that. He's not really worth much. If the opportunity came up, I think I probably would sign him. You know, 16 goals in 20 games, but he's going to be on a lot more. It's on 275. If we could get him for 300 at the end of the season, maybe I would consider that. But anyway, yeah, let's go and recap that game that I just watched. That was so annoying. That's the most dominant performance we've had in so long, and it wasn't even on camera. Oh, there's a long goal kick from Wright after a terrible shot from them. Clark flicked it on and Williams managed to pop it in the bottom corner. in the 5th minute. Then Jackson picks the ball here, and the most FIFA goal you're ever going to see. This was absolutely beautiful. A lob through ball from Foyo. Williams runs on the end of it and just squares it straight to Clark to put in the open net. Sweaty FIFA goals at their finest. I think I said I'd chuck my controller out the window if that happened to me. Birchall then picks up the ball here, manages to find it through to Lawson, powers it straight into the goalkeeper and just deflects it into the bottom corner. Williams then picks up the ball in a similar location, puts it back to Birchall and manages to... This defender is keeping Clark on side, pops it in, beautiful little pass there and a nice finish, with a little bit of luck bouncing off the goalkeeper. They then came back into it, a nice little header into the top corner. Before Osterfield, this was a terrible bit of defending actually. Osterfield crosses it in, Mitchell just controls it, and Walker walks straight past him and pops it in the bottom corner. And then this was obviously the goal that you saw. Clements puts a cross in, Yeboah gets it to Clark, pops it through the goalkeeper's legs or underneath him, one or the other, but either way, a very comfortable victory for us. So yeah, this is very awkward, but I think as penance, as punishment for my mistake, I'm going to go forward through the Bromley and Dagenham games. We'll do a very quick recap on those two, and then we'll do the match against Notts County, who are currently in 2nd, so we're probably going to get spanked. So, that's just a little punishment for me, I suppose. But before that, let's actually get on to the 4th round draw. We've got 32 teams going into it, so I'm not going to do an automatic draw. Let's just do a quick draw all, and we are going to be up against Rochdale, who I think we're actually playing them soon in the league. Rochdale Association FC. Did not know that was their full abbreviation. Yeah, they're currently 10th in our league. Who have they beat to get here? Prescott, not really impressive. They beat Prescott in the FA Trophy. They lost to Preston in the FA Cup. Stamford, yeah, they haven't really been tested so far. And yeah, we're playing them twice in 4 games. That's actually the game right after the Man United match, I think. No, there's actually a match in between the two. We might do that one on camera. It depends how the Man United one goes. I might want a little pick-me-up. We're playing a team a little bit more, suited to us. So yeah, 2 games very quickly played and 2 victories. Actually, I mean, Bromley and Dagenham and Redbridge are both struggling in the league this season, so I did hope to win both of them. But neither of them were as convincing as I would have liked. But, a victory is a victory at the end of the day. The Bromley game very much came down to one moment of magic from Callum Archer. And as you can probably imagine, it was from a free kick. Absolute peach of a hit in off the crossbar, top corner. Beautiful finish from Callum there. And then we followed that up with a 2-0 victory over Dagenham and Redbridge. We switched back to our 4-3-3 formation for this game, and it worked out quite well actually. Bojang got a penalty in the 19th minute, scored a penalty, I suppose. Tonadre then in the 80th minute to round out the game, puts Williams through, and he just beats the keeper on his own. Absolutely fantastic. He's really come into his own since those couple of games up front where he's really got a bit more involved in the squad. Played him out on the wing and, very happy with his performance, quite frankly. So yeah, let's do my second live com of the game. You're sort of, well, I suppose you've had maybe 0.1 of a live com so far. I don't know. But yeah, let's get forward to the Notts County game and we will do that to round out today's episode. So before we get into that match, there's been a bit of a disappointing turn here. Jack Morehouse has been kicking off about not playing enough. He is down as a star player still, which is a little bit of a mistake on my part. I should have really tried to get him down to, important player or maybe even regular starter. That might have been a bit more appropriate considering the people we've brought in. I've tried to promise him game time and he's not taking it at all. We've broken too many promises to teammates, which we have. A lot of those were not playing time based. They were more, I promise we'll upgrade the training facilities at some point. 5 years later, we finally do it. But I suppose there's not really much we could have done with that. I don't think I'm going to agree to sell him. He's not really worth a whole lot. And I would definitely like to keep him around for at least the rest of this season. I might let him go at the end of the season, depending on who we've got coming in. But I think I'm just going to apologise. Get on with your job. He's furious. That's not what I wanted to see. And we've got Yeboah looking to consider his options. I think I'm okay with that, to be honest. He's not as angry as Morehouse was, so maybe I could try and get him to stay. Maybe, what options have we got? Shiloh Waldo came here saying the same thing, but ultimately decided to stay. I think you could learn from him. I don't think that's really a smart move for us to go for, but I'm almost tempted. Because, to be honest, Yeboah isn't really playing, and I wouldn't be against selling him. It's only 4,000 to 8,000, but yeah, maybe let's just try and scare him. The grass isn't always greener. I think you're overstating that risk I think you're overstating your ability, my friend. Okay, fair enough. I appreciate your side. Yeah, would have to let him go. I think he's considering his options now. We can still offer him out. I think if I could get, say, okay, here's my play. Oh, we can't state when he leaves. That's a bit annoying. If I could state he could leave for 5,000 at the end of his contracts, I think I'd be more than happy to do that. Let's offer him out for 10,000, and we'll see what comes of it. We'll pop him on the transfer list for that value. I don't think we're going to get much more. And just for the record, Morehouse hasn't had any offers in so far or any interest. But I think if I whack him up for, let's say 50,000, I don't think there's anyone that's going to pay that much for him. But we'll just whack him on there just to see what comes of it. If someone comes in with an offer like that, I would definitely be willing to accept it. Yeboah's only attracting offers of 1.7 thousand, and they're all non-negotiable. I think I'm going to reject those, to be honest, and we'll go forward and see what we get for Morehouse. And there's been no offers for Morehouse, so yeah, we'll just have to monitor this going forward, I suppose. But yeah, it looks like our main man for so many years is probably going to be leaving us. It's a little bit disappointing, but it was definitely coming to the end of his time here, I felt like. Oh, and there we go. The stadium expansion has actually been completed. I'm going to be honest, I'd completely forgot that was even a thing. And if we do manage to get promoted this season somehow, this will probably need to be redone, I feel like. I don't know what the actual rules are for League 2. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, the League 2 minimum stadium capacity 5,000. Yeah, we might have to add another 1,000 if need be, but we'll wait and see how that pans out. So yeah, it is game day, and it's time for my penance of being unable to record a video properly. We're playing right at the back. Clements, Tanadre, Pritchard and Lewis along defence. Turnbull in defensive mid. Archer, Morehouse and Woodyard in midfield, with Woodyard as a ball-winning midfielder, and the other two as Mazzalas, so that's pretty attacking roles. Wheeldon as a target man, and Clark up front. Hopefully we can get something from this. My hand was pretty much forced with formation choice. If we look at our players that aren't in the match squad, all of them are just absolutely knackered. So I couldn't really play any wingers. I couldn't really play, I would have liked to be able to play maybe, Foyo in midfield and Woodyard in defensive mid, but we just don't have that option, quite frankly. I'm tempted to switch off positive because Notts County are a much better side than us, so I think I'm going to go back for balanced just to try and even things out a little bit, but I'm a little concerned with that. I don't have high hopes for this game, quite frankly, but hopefully we can get something from it. They're 11th in the form table and we're first. That's actually kind of nuts, but I don't want them to get complacent and think this would be an easy win. So with the underdogs out there, go out there and give it all you've got. Let's amp up the defenders and the midfielders. Jack Morehouse looking unsure. Not thrilled with that. But yeah, Notts County are in a 4-2-3-1. And we are in a 4-1-3-2. Very different looking formations, despite a relatively similar, the numbers being relatively similar. But yeah, let's just get into this. 7,000 people in attendance. Jesus Christ. That's absolutely nuts. That's the biggest non-cup game we've ever had, I feel like. But yeah, I am thrilled with that turnout. And I'm thrilled with how quiet this first half has started, to be honest. 20 minutes in, they've had one shot on target. There was not a highlight for it. So if we can keep it this way and edge out a 0-0 draw, I would be more than happy with that. Oh, 31st minute. They've got to throw in deep in our half. Clements picks it. What the fuck happened there? Sorry. Could we just go back a little bit? This comes in. Clements controls it. Does absolutely nothing. Stands there. Dale puts off the weakest shot of all time that's going well wide. Wright palms it off into Joe Leaf, who had an open net from a tight angle, puts it straight into the side netting. That was nearly an absolute disaster. Oh, he was also offside. We got a free kick out of it. But still, how does that happen? That's a fantastic name on their subs bench. Luther Munkandafa. I'm glad I got to see that ahead of time. I'm also glad that it's 0-0 at half-time. That was a very quiet first half. Let's just try and inspire the players. We'll give the defence a little bit more. I believe you can improve, especially you, Clements, with that defensive work you put out. We have managed one shot at the start of this half, and another one. We're up to a 0.07 XG now, absolutely flying. Their striker's having a shocker. Hopefully it stays that way. And we might need to look at making a sub or two, because we are just not doing anything going forward. I sort of want to take the risk with their main striker being so bad to go to positive. I might leave it for like the last 10 minutes or so. Either way, he's got a corner. McIndafa, glad I practiced that name. We managed to get the ball away though, but there's no one there. Come on, Wilden, you've got to be closing him down a bit quicker than that. You can't just stand there. McIndafa, Ashworth gets the ball. Goes the ball over to Dale, who puts a relatively tame shot in, and it just looks like it almost goes through Wright's hands. He gets a fingertip to it. There's no way that should have gone in. Let me see this again. I was expecting Ashworth to shoot. Yeah, Wright takes all the sting off that, and it still managed to drop into the net. That is just not good enough, quite frankly. So let's make a couple changes. Oh, God, I really wasn't thinking about my subs bench, was I? Morehouse is going to be coming off. I'm going to bring Goffard on, and I think I'm going to swap these two over. But it does mean I'm probably going to have to change how this is working. Let's try something crazy. Woodyard as a deep line playmaker on support. Archer as an advanced playmaker on attack. Let's just go for it. Turnbull, you're going to be more of a ball winning midfielder. I think this is how we're going to go. Our strikers are on pretty bad ratings, but they just haven't been involved at all, quite frankly. So I can't really disparage them too much when we're up against a much better side that have just controlled the entire game. But either way, Tonadre is getting the ball. Hopefully we can get some sort of attack on here. We never send it long to the target man, which really annoys me. Oh no, and now Joe lifts through on goal. Is he going to redeem himself here? Yes, he is. Pops it in the bottom corner. That is very annoying. It surely can't be caught now, I would agree. Let's switch to positive and we'll just go for it a bit more, I think. I really don't know how to move this around to make it work for us. So we're just going to revert to this. And I don't know if this would work. I don't think it will. But we'll go for it anyway. I might even go 3 up front for the last 10 minutes or so. I mean, goal difference is still relatively important. So how am I going to change things around here? I don't think really anyone's covered themselves in glory, but I'm going to go for it a little bit. We're going to bring 3 up front. Who do we take off? Looking at a midfield, I'm thinking Turnbull, to be honest. I think we're going to have Turnbull off for Yeboah. So we've got 3 up front position there, formation there even. Archer is an attacking advanced playmaker. Goffard, ball in the midfielder on support, maybe on defend actually, just to give it a bit more cover. Woodyard as a deep line playmaker on support, so just, you know, a little bit more creativity. Let's move the lines around a little bit more. And I'm going to move my fullbacks to attack, although Lewis is on a yellow card, so let's take him off and put Jackson on. And yeah, I think that's going to work for us. Just going to do this. I mean, I don't think it's going to work for us, but we might as well give it a go. Let's go attacking for the last 5 minutes. Just try and get a goal out of this. Something for all of these fans to cheer for. How's that affecting us? No, we're still in the playoffs. Yeah, full time. That's not a good performance, but Notts County are pretty much favourites to go up, so I can't really be too surprised. Notts County ease to victory. We've got a few fitness concerns, but I will deal with them. Jack Morehouse is injured. But yeah, I mean, not really the end of the episode that I wanted. I didn't really want to do that game as a live com, but felt like I needed to, you know, take a hit, being as I completely stuffed up that Boreham Wood game. I hope you feel like you've got some game worth out of that. Not that there was much of a performance from our team in that final match. We will be back in the next episode for the big one. You know, and if we thought that Notts County game was a spanking, let's see how it goes not at Old Trafford, at DanSkorne Park. We are really just fingers crossed begging for a 0-0 draw. I think I might even play the most defensive formation I could possibly muster just to make that happen. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. This is going to be a big one. If we can get a draw, it's going to completely change our club. But I don't think there is an almost zero chance of that happening, quite frankly. But at least we're going to fill out our brand new stand at DanSkorne Park. But yeah, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss that. And thank you very much for watching today. If you've enjoyed, maybe leave a like or a comment down below. They really do help out a great deal, and they mean a hell of a lot to me as well. As I said, we'll be back in the next match with an insane game against Manchester United. So plenty of goals to see there, I would imagine. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that's not the case, but I don't think I'm going to be very effective, let's say. But yeah, I'll see you next time.